Good afternoon, madam. Madam, Dr. Mansi Subhedhar, madam. Madam, are you there, madam?
Am I audible?
Madam, can you hear me, madam?
Yes, I can hear you, sir. Am I audible?
Can you increase your volume, madam?
Okay. How am I audible clearly, sir?
Yes, madam. Is it audible?
Yes, madam. Yes, madam.
Okay.
Madam, is my voice is audible to you, madam?
Yes, sir. You are audible.
Okay, madam. Let me introduce you, madam. First of all, a warm welcome you, madam. Mansi Subhedhar, madam, has completed his BE in ETC and ME in Electrical Electronics Engineering and PhD in Electronics Engineering in 2019. And she's having more than 17 years of teaching experience. And she is currently working as IQ AC coordinator and head at the Department of Electronics and Computer Science at Pillai HOC College of Engineering and Technology, Raisani, Navi Mumbai, Maharashtra. And coming to her publication, she is having more than 49 papers in peer-reviewed international journals and conferences. And she's also a reviewer for international journals, famous international journals like Elsewhere, Springer, Tyler and Francis, and so on. And she's a reviewer, work as a reviewer and technical committee member for 19 reputed international conferences and IEEE and Springer. And she has received a research grant for 3 projects from the University of Mumbai. And coming to her patents, she has granted one, and she is a life member of ISTE, IEI, and CSI, and fellow IETE and senior member of IEEE. She has served as Hon Secretary of IETE Navi Mumbai Center for 2 terms during 2016 and 2020, and she is currently an executive committee member. She's worked with the Women Empowerment Committee, IEEE, WIEBS Conference Committee, IEEEBS, IEEE India Council Industry Academy, Young Professional Committee. She has delivered special talks and hands-on sessions on research paper writing, IoT, telecommunication network, machine learning, and Python. Madam, the chair is yours, madam. You can share your screen and share your thoughts, madam.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Thanks to your department and Dr. Prentice for giving me this opportunity to interact with the audience. Today we have less time, so I have kept the presentation simple.
Yes, madam. Yes, madam. You can continue, madam. You can share your screen, madam, now.
Yeah. Just let me know if my screen is clearly visible.
Yes, madam. Is it visible, madam? You can continue, madam.
Okay.
Visible.
So very good evening to one and all. My name is Dr. Mansi Subhedhar, and today I'll be discussing the topic generative AI in healthcare. Throughout this FDP, I guess you all had a wonderful discussion and various sessions on generative AI, how it works, what are the various models, etc. So in this discussion, I'll talk in brief about the working of generative AI and few basics, and then we will discuss the applications and the case studies in the healthcare domain. So the question comes is why we should discuss this topic, and is it really important or worth discussing and studying? So you can see the chart that displays the market size for generative AI applications in healthcare sector. This graph shows the results from 22 to 32, and you can see there's a subsequent increase in the amount of funds that are going to be invested. These funds are in $1 billion in the healthcare sector. Already, there are various platforms which are working on providing generative AI solutions in the healthcare domain. When we say healthcare, it's a broader topic. It has got n number of subfields, right from personalized health to synthetic data sets to drug discovery to medical education to general research and many more. So these are the summary I can say for the platforms which are either working on providing the solutions in these domains or currently growing and getting popular. So what is generative AI? Generative AI, which is also known as Gen AI or GAI, is basically the subfield of artificial intelligence. During last 10 years, we all have been talking about artificial intelligence and machine learning. And then this field has evolved, called as generative AI, which is capable of generating text, images, videos, and the other data. So since it is capable of generating new data that has got similar characteristics to what it has been trained on, the name is given as generative AI. So it basically learns the patterns and the structure of data that has been provided for the training phase, and then it generates on its own the new data. So these generative models, they basically work similar to the unsupervised models. In machine learning, we all know that there are three basic types of machine learning algorithms: supervised, unsupervised, and reinforcement algorithm. So similar to that, generative models typically work similar to unsupervised model, where we are not providing any kind of labeled data to learn from. It can be variety of data in variety of formats and structures. We don't need to categorized or make the data in a same syntax. So that is the case why generative AI is gaining popularity, because we can design easily the platforms which works on structured data or organized data. But in case of healthcare, we have a huge diversity when we talk about the input data. Belonging to variety of patients, variety of diseases, variety of symptoms, variety of reports and results. There is a very unstructured and huge data available. So generative AI specifically helps in this domain because of this feature. Now there are two terms with reference to AI. One is called as discriminative models and the other is generative models. So discriminative, as the name suggests, they are basically the algorithms which identifies the boundary between the two different classes of the data. For example, as I mentioned, supervised machine learning or unsupervised machine learning, we all are used to solve problems or the tasks similar to classification, regression, etc., where we have to classify the given object, image, audio, or video into one of the classes. Then in regression kind of problems, we go for prediction kind of issues. So discriminative models are the ones where the objective is to classify the data or to predict the next output. It is not generating new data. It is just taking the decision based on what sort of training data is provided to this model. But on the contrary, if we see generative models, these generative models, they are designed to learn from the data set that has been given as an input and generate the new data. So synthetic data is basically the word that we used for newly generated data. So generative models generate new data by learning the various distributions and the patterns. It identifies some statistical similarities between the database that has been given and then the new data. So these are the two main, I can say, differences between discriminative models and generative models. So during last 10 years, we have been talking about the discriminative models, machine learning models, and now we are moving towards the generative models. So in general, how any generative AI works. So the step-by-step approach is quite similar to what we have been learning about machine learning algorithms. The first step is data gathering. So collect the data set according to your problem definition, structure the design, and then go for training and testing. Now, in this case, what makes generative AI special is the generator and discriminator model. So generator and discriminator model gives to the new GAI model, which is called as the GA and GAN, or we can call it as the generative adversarial model. So what is the difference in this model? In this model, basically, we take the random data, which is also called as a noise. From that random data, the new data is generated. Both this synthesized data. The word synthesize suggests that it is fabricated data. It is not the actual data. So this synthesized data and the real data both are taken by the discriminator, and then it identifies the real and the fake value, and accordingly both of them are updated. So this is in general the working principle of generative adversarial network, that is GAN, which is the most famous generative AI model used for most of the applications. So if we see generative AI, then there are two main topics again, that is single modal AI and multimodal AI. For healthcare domain, most of the time it is multimodal AI. Why? Because in case of healthcare, as I mentioned, we have the prescriptions written by doctors, we have the images taken as suppose X-ray images or the MRI images, we have the charts, it can be maybe our blood reports or any other type of pathological examination that we have done. So we have a huge variety of data. So single model AI, where only in case of the machine learning algorithms that we use for typical problem solving like weather forecasting and maybe some agricultural problem, etc. But when it comes to generative AI, we have only the multimodal AI models where we have huge variety of data sets, not in same synchronized format, and then we get the outcome. So obviously the quality of outcomes, the depth of the outcome will be better in case of multimodal AI as compared to the single modal AI. So what are the different multimodal data available for smart healthcare that we can use as a training for a training phase for our generative AI algorithm? So it can be the data collected from wearable devices. It can be the data collected from wearable sensors that we have maybe either inserted in the body, or we can wear it on our body like temperature sensor or blood pressure, etc. It can be behavioral data in case of specific disease patients. It can be through the electronic health records, or it can be the genes or any other related data, specifically the biological processes in our body. So all such sort of data can go as input to generative AI models under multimodal AI. So what are the benefits of this multimodal AI? It can obviously improve the accuracy, predicting some disease simply from the X-ray images, or analyzing something simply from the blood reports or any other reports may not serve the purpose. So if we are taking the input from several other characteristics, we can better predict the issues. It will give enhanced user experience. Sometimes users are able to narrate the issues properly. Sometimes they are not able to narrate, but it can be evident from the reports. So in all such cases, the various parameters can be combined and we can get a better user experience. Then we can efficiently utilize the resources and the better interpretability. So these are the various advantages of multimodal AI. Now, looking at the opportunities, there are n number of things that can be developed or researched on, because still this is a new field and people are working on this. Hardly there are any direct use cases which are used by the patients directly. In research papers and in magazines and in newspapers, we can see all these things. But at least in our country, all these things are not yet directly used on patients, as far as I know. So these all sensors, scans, or biological data, all these are called as data modalities. And by combining these modalities, you can see here all these lines are going to all these opportunities. That means each of these opportunities creating digital twins, creating digital clinical trials, to optimizing person's health, like precision health. All these things we can implement. We can have the virtual health coaches also by taking input of all these things. So these are the benefits of multimodal AI, and we can call these as basically the opportunities or the applications that can be developed using these modalities. Now, when we talk about generative AI, most famous word that we should learn is a LLM model. I'm sure you have been listening to this word over this FDP, but just a small recap of what is LLM. So large language models are basically, this is an AI program that can understand and generate human language. Most of us now use ChatGPT, Gemini, Perplexity AI, and many more AI tools to get information, to compare some results, or even people use it for research paper writing, etc. So they are nothing but the base for LLM models. So the speciality of these models is they can process massive amount of text data, and they also learn the statistical relationships between the whatever text formats that we have provided, and from that they generate the output. Now, what is making them more special is they can predict what can be the next word, or what can be the next question can come. For example, you might have observed in ChatGPT, if I write draft the letter for so and so, it provides us the result. And then if I say, okay, now make it in 100 words, or make it in 1000 words, or add so and so points. So making the correlation between the previous output and the next predicted output, and then correlating all the database available. So these are the special features that can be provided with the deep learning type of neural network. So the deep learning special type of neural network that is used in generative AI LLM models is called as transformers. So it finds the patterns. It doesn't need any kind of manual programming, etc. The program learns the patterns itself from whatever data set we have given, and then generate the synthetic data. Now, we have n number of research papers and applications which work with machine learning based, suppose MRI image recognition, or in case of wearables, and many more domains. So the question comes is, if we have lot many things already available, then why we should go for Gen AI in healthcare? So whatever applications we have, they are generalized on they are not patient specific. So if we want to make in-depth analysis,
Yeah, madam, continue, madam. Please continue.
Madam, madam, can you hear, madam? Hello, madam, unmute yourself, madam. Madam. Madam.
hello. Am
Yes,
I audible,
madam.
sir?
Yes, madam. You are audible, madam. You can share your.
Okay.
Yes, madam.
Yeah, I have shared. Okay.
Yes, madam.
So,
Visible, madam.
okay. So, were you with me up to this slide, sir? Large language models.
Yes, madam. Yes, madam. This one, large language. Yes, madam. Yes, madam.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
So, I was saying that if we have already few research papers and several studies where we have lot many applications developed with machine learning, supervised, unsupervised, reinforcement, and so many other things, then why we should go for generative AI for the healthcare? So the thing is, all these are the general studies developed. They are not patient specific. If we want to generate patient specific results, patient specific customized outputs, then we cannot rely on general procedures or general methods. And that is the reason we can go for generative AI for the healthcare, because we can develop the application, or we can develop the tools, I can say, which will be tailored to the unique needs and the genetic settings of each patient. So rather than referring to the general thing, because patient to patient the symptoms vary, the outcomes vary, the impact of the medicines given vary, the impact of the response that they provide, it can also vary. So all these things, if they are studied properly, we can provide better solutions rather than relying on the general models which are available. So that is the reason why we should learn generative AI for the healthcare domain. So if anybody wants to develop a generative AI model for any sort of healthcare or any other domain data, then what are the general guidelines? So first is we have to identify the use case. So as I said, in healthcare domain, it's a huge field. So it has got medical image analysis, it has got clinical documentation, drug discovery, predictive analysis, personalized medicine, all these use cases. Under these also several other um, types of use cases are available. So first identify what sort of application you want to develop. Then what is the right data that goes for. Now, since it learns from the huge data set, doesn't mean we should provide any non-relevant details. Otherwise, it can create problems in future. So we have to gather high quality relevant data set. Relevant is most important. Okay, because if we see diseases also, then for every disease there are subtypes and many other symptoms, etc. So we should not blindly provide all the values of the data sets. We should check the quality of data, because that is the ultimate I can say benchmark that is going to decide our quality of results. Then select the appropriate generative model. So we talked about generative adversarial network, but similar to that, we have many other models that work like generative model. So choice of model depends upon what sort of data you have, what kind of outputs you expect, and how long is it a continuous monitoring, is your training database going to get continuously updated, and all those stuff. So accordingly, we have to choose the appropriate model and then train the model, the process that we usually carry out for our machine learning algorithms. Then validate the results that you have got using the separate database that are not used during training. So you may get training accuracy better, but for validation and testing, if you take separate data set, then you will actually identify whether your model is trained properly or not. Then check the model performance, accuracy, reliability, etc. We have got lot many things available, precision, recall, all those formulas we all are aware of. And then the integration with the healthcare system. So once we have tested the model, once we have validated the model using separate data set, then we can integrate it with the existing healthcare system and we can observe the records. Now, while doing so, we have to comply with the healthcare regulations. We have to comply with the data protection laws. If we are using patients' personal data, there should be some consent taken. There should be some policy for that. So whatever the regulatory compliance are there, according to nation, according to state or any other agency, we have to comply with that. And our algorithm training or our algorithm performance won't stop here. We have to check continuously about the performance of our algorithm, and we can adapt to the changes of as per the patient's response, and we can change the training data accordingly. So this is in general step-by-step guide or steps we can say to develop any generative AI application in any domain. So we will be discussing few sample cases related to these applications of generative AI in the healthcare industry, that is automating administrative tasks, medical imaging, drug discovery, personalized medicine, medical research, and then risk prediction of pandemic preparedness. So let us see the first one, that is medical imaging. So we can use generative AI to synthesize organs or tissue images, and according to the medical condition explanations, we can make the customized outputs for this. Then we can automate the segmentation of the organs and abnormalities in the images. So any sort of medical imaging medical imaging in the sense any medical results that comes in the form of images. It can be X-ray images, it can be MRI images, it can be any other images. And then the pathology prediction also we can done using generative AI. Then comes drug discovery and development. So we can certainly expedite drug discovery by exploring the diverse chemical space. We can propose new novel compounds. Actually, if we have thousands of things available, it is not possible for any individual to learn and observe the patterns of bringing those thousand things together. So suppose if I want to predict the drug-drug interaction, so how one drug responds to another drug, then testing it on humans will be obviously not feasible. So all those implications, all those possibilities, we can work out, we can explore using the generative AI models. Then we can also predict the drug adverse effects, how the biomarkers after giving in the patient, how they will respond, how patients will response will be to them. Because if the patient is suffering through certain disease or he is undergoing some therapies, then how should we what shall be that response of the patient to that drug? Okay, that also we can understand and we can explore. Then we can use this generative AI for the personalized medicine. As I said, we can have the customized tailored treatment plans, patient to patient, though the disease is same, according to patient's medical history, according to patient's diet, and many other things. The response of the patient to medicines, treatments, or any other plans, it varies. So we can customize the therapies and we can make individual treatment plans. Then predictive analytics for disease progression and treatment response. So we can have predictive models for estimating the disease progression and treatment outcomes. So suppose if some patient is having the level 1 disease, then what are the chances of getting that patient into level 2 disease? How much time it will randomly take? How will be the patient respond depending upon his current responses? All these things can be explored using generative AI. Then we can use this for real-time clinical decision support. So along with the prescription, along with the pathology reports, along with the genetic profile, all these things, we can also make combinations of these outputs, and then we can generate the decision support for the real-time advice given by the clinicians. And then we can have resource optimizations by streamlining workflows, automating routine tasks, and enhancing the efficiency of genetic testing processes, etc. So likewise, we can use it for personalized medicine. Then for research purpose, we can use for new medicine discoveries, for new medical research, we can use generative AI for data processing, for medical document summarization. Then we can use it for summarizing lengthy medical documents. Suppose if there are dozens of Am I audible, sir?
Yeah, madam, audible, madam. You can continue.
Please
madam.
mute yourself.
I got some noise, so I thought.
Yes, yes, madam. Yes, madam. You can proceed, madam.
Okay, sir. So if we
Please
have
mute
some
yourself.
medical documents, etc., then we can get ready-made summaries of these medical documents. So now, as you all know, now there are tools like, suppose I have some 10-page or 20-page document, I can summarize it in 100 words, 1000 words. We all are already using these AI tools for that. So certainly at a larger scale, we can use generative AI for that. Then we can use it for optimizing the resource utilization. There are always resource constraints in medical research, so we can use it for that. We can use it for processing larger data sets. We can use it for predictive analytics. Predictive analytics is nowadays very common. There has been a huge number of applications with machine learning also. So at a larger scale, for a larger data set and better quality, we can certainly explore predictive analytics field with generative AI. So this is the sample that shows us how generative AI can analyze this image. So suppose this image I have given as a input to my generative AI tool, and we have been asking is, can you write a report analyzing this chest X-ray? So this chest X-ray is given as an input, and it will what this generative AI tool will do. This generative AI tool will be trained on lot many chest X-rays, normal chest X-rays, abnormal chest X-rays, chest X-ray photos with certain types of diseases, asthma or anything else that can happen. And then it will learn the pattern, and it will take this image, and it will identify whether there are any issues in the X-ray or not, and it will give us the findings in a ready-made way. Now, though this looks very, what I can say, very attractive, there are a lot many issues to that we are going to discuss in upcoming slides. So if we see at opportunities, there are n number of opportunities, but as we know, along with these opportunities, there are n number of challenges as well. So integration with the existing systems, because whatever systems we have in hospitals or at various places, they need to be compatible with these new tools. We have to train the workforce. We have to check for the limitations in the data analysis. We have to check the ethical issues, regulatory issues, all these things we have to address, and then only we can think of these opportunities. So this will be the sample case, I can say, for giving us the ready-made reports from the X-rays. Then for administrative tasks, I have a good diagram for that. Yeah. So looking at this, you can see for how administrative tasks, generative AI can be helpful. So we can use it for clinical documentation and decision support. We can generate personalized plans. So suppose if a patient comes and asks us, what should be my diet? What should be the to-do list I should do? How much work should I do? What should be the regular checklist that I should follow? Then all these things can be ready-made generated from that patient's history. So that is for clinical services and operations. We can use it for better customer experience, for in-hospital engagement. We can also use it for insurance in case of death or in case of operations, or in many other places we need to claim the insurance. For billing and query resolutions, for HR operations, these are basically the non-clinical operations. So along with clinical, we can use it for non-clinical operations as well. And then we can use it for audits, we can use it for compliance reports, for all these administrative tasks, appointment management, streamlined billing, claim processing, automated documentation, data entry, all these things we can certainly use generative AI tools. This is the case study for OPD visit, how someone can manage OPD visit using generative AI. So what is the current process is, we have to call for booking, or else we have the app for booking, and then somebody gives us the appointment. Then we go for doctor consultation, and then the doctor gives us the hard copy of the prescription for us. So how it can be used using generative AI. So we can have 24 hours support for query. We can have reduced dependency on call center. We don't need to call. There will be the automatic AI chatbots to assist us for appointments. We can reduce the documentation. We can reduce the waiting time. There can be a provision where the chatbot tells us that this much is the waiting time. So don't come to hospital now. Take some time and
Participants,
then
please
can.
mute.
So all these things we can achieve with a better accuracy. So using this case study, we can certainly imagine how the world will be using the generative AI. Then this is the example where we can get a glance of generalist medical AI. So as I told you, we always multimodal AI. We have lot many inputs for that, including text files, including the audios, images, the health records, etc., etc. So suppose if some patient is at home and he or she is not feeling well and he is going through something, so he has to narrate it to the doctor, but the patient is not sure whether after visiting doctor he will be able to tell or not. So at the time instant itself, the patient can record the audio of what all things he or she is going through, and the same can be used by chatbot to provide certain suggestions on first aid, what we can do for that particular patient. So this is another case study where we can see how generalist medical AI application can be developed under multimodal AI. So clinical keyboard liberation, automated generation of notes, discharge summaries, reauthorization, all these things are possible with the help of
Ma'am, ma'am, please stop, ma'am. Ma'am, please stop, sir. Please remove the person who is making this much of noise, sir. It's really
Yes.
a big disturbance.
Okay, madam. Okay, okay.
go home.
Yes, madam. You can continue, madam.
లేదు మరి మనకు రావట్లా మీకు వాయిస్ వస్తుంది వాళ్ళు ఎవరు ఐడెంటిఫై అవ్వట్లేదు రిమోట్ ఎక్కడ చెప్తాను
Madam, sorry for interruption, madam. You can continue, madam. Yes, sir. Madam. Madam Mansi, madam.
Yes, am I audible, sir?
Yes, madam. Yes, madam. You can continue, madam.
Audible, madam. Audible. You can continue, madam.
Okay. Okay. So, as I said, we have seen 2 case studies and several other possibilities where we can implement
Madam,
generative AI.
can you increase your volume, madam?
It's full, sir. It's full.
It's full,
You are
madam.
getting
Okay,
low
madam.
voice. Okay.
Okay, okay,
I'll,
madam. Okay.
I'll be little louder. Yeah. So, what are the challenges? Challenges are first is with respect to the quality. When we talk about machine learning or any other AI related application tool, etc., the quality of data is the foremost important thing. So how we represent the data, what is the quality of data used for training, that is the first issue, because if our data is not diverse, if it is not inclusive, then it will certainly give bias in results, because this is concerning to the person's personal safety. So we cannot take a risk of giving wrong results. Then healthcare organizations, they must implement rigorous protocols for algorithm development and validation before applying it on the patient. Validation on several things is most important. Without that, we may lose persons. So it is highly risky if you won't take care of these bias. Then data privacy, we are using sensitive patient information, their X-ray images, their MRI reports, their pathology reports, etc., to give as an input to our generative AI model. So privacy and security is the important thing. We should follow the norms set by the hospital or the agency, as I mentioned, for data protection regulations. And then only we should give these data to the authorized people. Otherwise, many things can go wrong. So for healthcare providers must establish the policies for data sharing, and they must ensure that whatever data we are giving for AI is anonymized. The person's identification is not revealed. Otherwise, things like blackmailing or giving wrong results, all these things can happen. So data privacy is important. Then, in addition to that, we have intellectual property issues. Then we have transparency issues. And another thing is, if the patients looking at all these things, looking at the results given by chatbots or these automated tools, if they rely on that and if they ignore
Madam,
Ma'am, you have muted yourself, ma'am. Ma'am, you have muted yourself. Please unmute.
actually I'm not
నేను
muting
ఎక్కడ
myself.
పడుతున్నాను మ్యామ్ మ్యూట్ వాళ్ళు ఎందుకు పడుతున్నా
Might be doing for everybody. I'm also getting muted. Okay, so potential bias and data privacy, these are the two things that we discussed. And along with that, medical malpractice liability is the major challenge. If the patients ignore the actual doctors and visiting doctors and they just take the help of these chatbots or all this stuff, then they may have to face the consequences. So then who should be held accountable? Because we cannot we cannot take accountability from these AI tools. So we have to take care before implementing all these tools, because if the patients are not from the educated background and if they follow the things, ideally nowadays people follow things written on internet or for taking tablets and painkillers as well. So medical malpractice liability is the major challenge while implementing generative AI. Data ownership, as I already discussed, it is there along with data privacy and security. Then patients should be ready to give their data for the study purpose. Informed consent is the challenge because by giving this data for developing some tools and all, we should have the consent from the patients. So that is there. Then transparency must be maintained on how that generative AI model is going to address particular treatment. Doctors should be in line, or I can say convinced with the way the generative AI model is working. Otherwise, there will be serious implications, and we won't be able to solve that. So coming at the end, there are certain limitations of using generative AI in healthcare, like data quality, privacy, integration into the existing systems because of compatibility issues, then consents, then lack of professional experience, expertise, and many other things. But as we saw in the market size in the very first slide, investments in this field are certainly getting more and more, and we have to work towards this topic and develop the models, because nowadays we are used to developing the machine learning models for healthcare sector, but now we have to go one step ahead and develop these generative AI models for various applications and possibilities that I have discussed. So thank you, sir, for giving me this opportunity to discuss few things with the audience. Since the time is short, I have made it a bit not much lengthy, and just given the hints of what all possibilities are there and wherever we can develop some new things.
Okay, very good presentation, madam. Is there any queries from the participants?
Sir, I have raised my hand. I'm Rosalind here.
Is there any queries from the participants?
Sir, can you hear me? Dr. Mansi, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, ma'am. Go ahead.
Any queries
Okay,
from the
so,
participants?
Sir, hello.
Yes,
yeah,
sir.
Rosalind madam, you can continue, madam.
Yeah. So Dr. Mansi, Rosalind here. I just wanted to have this one thing clarified, because you clearly told when you are discussing about the pros and cons, you had clearly told the consequences. We only have to face the consequences. But this is, healthcare, and maybe diagnostics or whatever it is predicting all those things. Don't you think so? It is little bit dangerous because we are dealing with the lives of people. If it is anything to do with writing articles or literature review, like the previous session
Yes.
we had about literature review and all those things. But this is healthcare, isn't it, ma'am? Isn't it that, you know,
Yes.
we are being too insensitive towards the consequences and informed consent? Yes, I agree with the informed consent.
It is.
But
It will be
generalizing,
dangerous. Yeah, it will be dangerous if it is not developed properly. Now, robotic surgeries. Uh, Initially, when we thought of this topic, we felt that no, it may go wrong, something wrong can happen. But now we are able to see that robotic surgeries are doing excellent jobs. So in the beginning, when we listen to anything, we first worry about the implications, and we are not uh, going to use it immediately. Once it is developed properly, once it is approved by doctors, once it is tested properly on various data sets and on various entities, and once we are 100% sure of getting proper outcomes, then only there will be level 1 implementation of these things. We won't be immediately using it for severe issues. Okay, there will be a step-by-step implementation.
that was a very nice explanation, ma'am. I do agree that, you know, robo-assisted surgery is like, you know, it's becoming very common. But practically speaking, when we are saying that we have headache or something and Google it, we are really getting scared, because when we Google for the symptoms, it leads up to ordinary headache also leads up to being diagnosed with cancer or something like that. So I think this needs to, this will take time, isn't it, ma'am, before it
Yes,
get.
certainly. This will take time, ma'am. This will certainly take time. Maybe minimum, my personal opinion, minimum it will take 4 to 5 years to bring into these things. But nevertheless,
Okay.
we all as a researchers, as academicians, we can start studying the things so that we
Okay.
can get better
Thank you.
hands on.
Okay. Well said. Well said. Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah.
Anyone, any queries? Okay, thank you, madam. Thank you, Dr. Mansi Subhedhar, madam, for your excellent work on the explanation of the working of generative AI and LCM models and different things, which have gained a lot of knowledge to all the participants. So I am very much pleased to be standing on behalf of Shri Vishnu Engineering College for Women to convey my gratitude to Dr. Mansi Subhedhar, madam, which deserves a special recognition for accepting our invitation and being here with us today, madam.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you for
Thanks
your
to both of
valuable
you,
time
sir, and
spending here,
you,
madam. Thank you,
for
ma'am.
this opportunity. Thank you, sir. Thank you all the participants for patient listening.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And dear participants, today we are having a last resource person. Today we are having Dr. Chandra.